Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Weekly Reads. My name is Devin. I'm a librarian at the Worcester Public Library, and of course, my co-host and co-worker Joy is here with me. Hi, Joy.
How are you today, Devin?
I'm a little melty in the humidity. How are you?
I am too, but
Yeah.
we'll power through it.
Yeah, it'll get cooler eventually, right?
Right.
Okay, so if you haven't seen our show before, everything that we talk about, or most everything, you can get online as an ebook or downloadable audio through OverDrive or Libby, which are apps you can get on your phone, iPad, device. If you're more comfortable with a laptop or desktop, you can just use OverDrive in your browser. We also have curbside pickup right now, so you can get things in print if you prefer. And if you have any questions about any of that, just call the library and we can help you. So now I'm going to switch screens so that you can see the books Joy and I have picked out for you this week. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to focus on fiction, Joy's going to do nonfiction, and we have our coming soon title. My first choice is Sharks in the Time of Saviors by Kawai Strong Washburn, and this book came out pretty recently, just in March. It's a debut novel that folds the legends of Hawaiian gods into a work of literary fiction. It's set in Hawaii in 1995 when, on a family vacation, 7-year-old Nainoa Flores falls overboard off a cruise ship into the Pacific Ocean. When sharks appear, everyone fears the worst, but instead, a shark safely delivers Noah in its jaws to his mother, making Noah's story the stuff of legends. His family, struggling with the collapse of the sugarcane industry, hails his rescue as a sign of favor from Hawaiian gods, something that seems true after he exhibits new healing abilities. But as time passes, the supposed favor begins driving the family apart. Noah, working as a paramedic in Portland, struggles to understand his expanding abilities. In Spokane, his older brother hurtles into athletics, obsessed with wealth and fame. In California, their sister studies engineering in the hopes of becoming independent from their family. But when supernatural events revisit the Flores family in Hawaii, they are forced to reckon with their heritage and the cost of survival. This is one of those books where a different character narrates each chapter, giving their own point of view, which I think is a really nice way to flesh out a story. It got a lot of really strong reviews, one of them from the New York Times Book Review. They said, with prose that can be breathy and sweaty in one paragraph and gliding softly and tenderly the next, this writer wants us to see Hawaii in its totality, as a place of proud ancestors and gods, of mystery and beauty, but also of hopelessness and poverty. So I've never been to Hawaii, but I've always wanted to go, and I'm really interested in the history there. So if you're like me, this might be a fun book for you to try this summer. And here's one from Joy.
The title alone would entice me.
Definitely.
My first choice today is A Different Mirror, A Multicultural History of America by Ronald Takaki, which just happens to be the book we will be discussing at the next meeting of our virtual American History Book Club on Tuesday, July 7th at noon. Please join us on Zoom. When the first edition of A Different Mirror was released in 1993, Publishers Weekly called it a brilliant revisionist history destined to become a classic, and named it one of the 10 best books of the year. I wish I could tell you that this 27-year-old title is no longer relevant, that it is an outdated reflection of life as it was in the early 1990s, but not now. Unfortunately, A Different Mirror, while written in the wake of the Rodney King riots in 1992, might as well have come out yesterday. Takaki, who established the first ethnic studies program in the country at UC Berkeley in the late 1960s, maintains that race, or more accurately, skin color, has had a defining impact on the American story in every generation, preventing those deemed non-white, or at least not quite white enough, from enjoying the full blessings of liberty that have been promised to us all. In lively prose, leavened by anecdote, song, and poetry, Takaki details the unique challenges faced by Native, African, Mexican, Irish, Chinese, Japanese, and Jewish Americans as they sought to claim those blessings of liberty, despite the resistance of a dominant culture that perceived them all as a threat to white Protestant supremacy. Each group has experienced its own struggles and its own triumphs along the way, but all provide a different mirror, a new way of looking at a shared past. On a deeper level, and apropos of this year's summer reading theme, Takaki asks important questions. Who gets to imagine the story and who gets to tell it? Can we in our pluralistic society ever hope to weave disparate, often contradictory threads into one unifying narrative? Or do we even need to do that? Can we instead learn to appreciate each colorful strand in its own right, exchange an American story for our American stories? Obviously, as the statues of Confederate generals fall, the question is more relevant than ever. Takaki urges us to try to see our history through a different mirror. We have nothing to fear, he says, but the fear of our diversity itself.
That sounds like an important book. I hope you get a lot of people on your book club.
I do too.
Okay, for my next pick, I have a collection of short stories called The Witch and Other Tales Retold by Jean Thompson. This book came out in 2014, at which time it was named one of NPR's Best Book of the Year. And it was called A Haunting and Entertaining Collection. So the premise of this book is that fairy tales are not always for children. The Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood, the Gingerbread House, and Hansel and Gretel, the beauty asleep in her castle. These stories represent some of our deepest fears and satisfy the desire for good to win over evil. In this collection, critically acclaimed Thompson takes the fairy tale and brings it into the modern age. Adults are cursed by unspeakable acts. Children try to find their way home. The downtrodden prevail. Appearances deceive. Humility and virtue triumph. And love, or is it enchantment, conquers all. So Thompson has updated these stories by removing everything supernatural from them. Instead of getting lost in the woods and finding a candy house, children in the story The Witch are in foster care, living with an old woman who gives them lemon drops and locks them in the basement. The prince from Thompson's version of Cinderella can't remember whose shoe he's carrying because he has a brain injury from when he was hit by a car. This book got a lot of great reviews. Publishers Weekly said that it's as eerie as any Brothers Grimm. In the spooky and complex collection, Thompson skillfully infuses our world of technology and reality TV with horror, wonder, and majesty. So this collection sounds really interesting to me, telling a fairy tale without any of the magical elements, but infusing everyday magic into the story. If you enjoy fairy tales or short stories, this might be a good one for you. And here's one from Joy.
As long as it's eerie, it's okay by me.
And me too.
My next book, The Lost City of Z by journalist David Gran, was actually recommended to me by Devin, who did warn me about the giant maggots, but I digress. You may know that The Lost City of Z has been made into a movie on Netflix. You may even have seen it, but trust me, as usual, the book is better. In 1925, English adventurer Percy Fawcett, accompanied by his teenage son Jack, walked into the Amazon jungle in search of what he believed to be a great and ancient city that he, for reasons known only to himself, called Z. He was following in the footsteps of 16th century explorers who, in the absence of any real knowledge of the new world in which they found themselves, imagined wondrous things. A city of gold called El Dorado, a fountain of youth. Most archaeologists in Fawcett's time disparaged both the man and his quest. The soil in Amazonia was too poor for large-scale cultivation, they claimed, and therefore could not support large cities. Fawcett himself was a rather unlikable character, a driven eccentric who browbeat his companions, neglected his family, and routinely consulted mediums who told him everything he wanted to hear. Criticism, however, deterred neither Fawcett nor the media, who followed his exploits avidly. And when he failed to return in due time, they began to speculate. What could possibly have gone wrong? Well, a lot, actually. For those of you who may be contemplating a leisurely camping trip in Amazonia in the near future,
Don't do it.
please be advised that the region has many tricks up its sleeve. Snakebite, malaria, drowning, parasitic infection, hordes of disease-bearing insects, and starvation among them. Oh, and did I mention the giant maggots?
Bah.
Any one of these things might have killed Fawcett. The consensus, however, is that he may have been captured and or killed by any one of several hostile tribes then living in the area. No trace of Fawcett or his city of Z has ever been found, although many have made the attempt, and an estimated 100 adventuresome souls have died trying. Even the author, David Gran, found himself drawn to the mystery of Fawcett's disappearance. But despite a few tantalizing clues, no luck. So here's my takeaway. The stories we imagine are powerful. They are alluring. They spin off in unexpected directions, and they may even be dangerous. And one more thing. New ground penetrating radar appears to show that there may be more beneath the surface of the Amazon jungle than we have ever imagined. And wouldn't it be interesting if Percy Fawcett got the last word?
So yes, I have read this book. I do like reading about far off places with adventure, and I enjoyed it, but it turned out that there's so many creepy crawlies in the Amazon that the book kind of just gave me the heebie-jeebies, and I've decided never to go.
Yeah, those maggots would do it.
Yeah. All right, here is our coming soon title. It is Blue Ticket by Sophie McIntosh. This book comes out on June 30th, tomorrow, which is Tuesday. In the book, the main character is Calla, and she knows how the lottery works. On the day of your first bleed, you go to the station to learn what kind of woman you'll be. A white ticket grants you marriage and children. A blue ticket means a career and freedom. But what if the ticket you're given is the wrong one? When Calla, a blue ticket woman, questions her fate, she goes on the run. But her survival depends on her qualities that the lottery has taught her to question. Pregnant and desperate, she wonders if the lottery knows her better than she knows herself, and what that might mean for her child. This book got so many great reviews, but here's one that might interest you. It's a starred review from Booklist. They said, in her thought-provoking novel about fate, control, and biology, McIntosh keeps the reader turning pages, a must-read for Handmaid's Tale aficionados. So I think we all know how big The Handmaid's Tale has been lately. If you enjoyed that story and Margaret Atwood's book, this was probably a good one for you to try this summer. We don't have it in our catalog yet, but I have been told that it is being ordered, and hopefully it will also show up on OverDrive and Libby soon. So that brings us to the end of our weekly reads episode. Don't forget, if there's a certain topic or genre you'd like a recommendation for, just put it in the comments below and Joy and I will see what we can do. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Well, so many books, too little time. See you later, fellow readers.